Next we have is the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to jump into our NFL Week 4 predictions. Last week was not a good week in predicting terms. I went 9-7, and I could really thank one team that everyone chose, but wound up laying an egg like the typical franchise that they are for that record. But anyway, new week, week 4. This is the final week of no buys until like week 15. So let's jump right into it. And we're going to start off with Thursday Night Football, where the Detroit Lions will travel to Green Bay to take on the Packers. The Packers, I honestly don't know how they won last week. I honestly don't know. The Saints scored the first 17 points. The Packers scored the next 18 to win the game. All of it within the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, Detroit, they got a good win over the Falcons. And it wasn't really too special of a win. Their defense played well. I'll give them that. But Thursday Night Football, looking at this game, Packers are going to get some good news with Christian Watson making his likely to make his debut bearing setback, and Aaron Jones could possibly return for this week. And because of those returns, I am going to roll with the Green Bay Packers to win this game. And Detroit, it ain't going to be too bad. But I am expecting a really good game of football to be played here in Lambeau Field. Then we have a game in London where the Atlanta Falcons will take on Jacksonville in Wembley Stadium. The game will be played 9:30 in the morning, either on ESPN Plus or Disney Plus. Um, both of these franchises did not have good weeks last week. Falcons, they lost to the Lions, and Jacksonville, they got destroyed by Houston at home. And it's mostly thanks to their horrid red zone offense. So in London, Jacksonville will be in the country yet again next week. But that's next week. But for this game, I am going to go ahead and take Duval County to win this game. I do believe that if they could get that offense going, it's going to be tough to stop. Also, Calvin Ridley will be taking on his former team. Then, oh boy, we have the game of the week for me this week. The Miami Dolphins traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Dolphins, 7-0. Need I say more? The Bills, they actually look like the Bills, destroying the Commanders 37-3 in FedEx Field. They picked off Sam Howell 4 times. And Josh Allen. The Bills right now, they finally look like what they're supposed to look like. But this game is going to decide who's going to be the big bad boys of the AFC East. And fortunately for the Dolphins, the elements ain't going to hinder. It's not going to be a December cold game, so the elements won't be a problem for the Dolphins. And with them likely getting Jalen Waddle back for this game, I'm actually going to go with the road team. I'm going to roll with the Dolphins to win. They got speed. They could win in all facets of the game. This team scares me. Do I have to do this game? Alright. We got the winless Broncos taking on the winless Bears. Broncos, we know what happened. They gave up 70 points and 727 yards of offense. And the Bears, what can I say about them? The less said about their franchise, the better. Do I hear loss number 14 in a row? I don't even know who to pick. It's both of these teams are bad. I'm just gonna pick the Broncos. I'm gonna give them one more chance to prove me right about this team. I do believe the Broncos. are a little more talented than the Bears, but we could be getting some interesting football that this week. Just saying. Following that, we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The Ravens lost in the rain to the Colts, where the offense couldn't get anything going. Granted, they had a bunch of O-line injuries, as injuries on their secondary, injury to Odell Beckham Jr., and why do the Ravens are always injured every year, it seems like. Meanwhile, the Browns convincingly beat the Titans 27-3. Deshaun Watson, he played his best game as a Brown against the Titans. So for this game, it is in Cleveland, and because it's in Cleveland, I'm going to go ahead and take the Browns. I think their defense is going to really play well against them. I don't expect a lot of scoring in this game. Following that, we have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Bengals, they finally got a win against the Los Angeles Rams, their first win of the season, but they do not look like the Bengals that we know. The offense is still struggling to get something going. The defense, though, that defense played very well against the Rams. Meanwhile, the Titans, just 3 points scored against the Browns. And they're looking like we thought they would look this year. For this game, I'm gonna roll with Cincinnati to win. I think Joe Burrow could probably get things going with this passing game. I do believe that this might be a game for Ja'Marr Chase to have, and I'm gonna roll with Cincinnati to win. I'd also like their defense as well. Next we have is the Los Angeles Rams traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Rams, they lost again. It was lost again to the Bengals. It was a rough showing for that offensive line. An offensive line that only gave up one sack in the first 2 weeks. The Cincinnati game, they gave up quite a bit. Meanwhile, Indianapolis got a surprise win over the Ravens. And with this game, they're probably going to get Anthony Richardson back. So, the Colts, they're look like they're going to be the team that's going to be surprising a lot of people this year. But for this game, I am going to go with another road team. I'm going to roll with the Rams to win. I do think they're the more talented bunch. I think Aaron Donald is going to have a game for the ages in this one. So I'm going to roll with the Rams to win. Next, we have NFC South rivals, the New Orleans Saints hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both teams are coming off their first loss of the season. One lost to the Packers after blowing a 17-0 lead. The other lost to the Eagles in the rain, and the fact that the Eagles are just a more superior team. This game, well, we're not expecting Derek Carr to play because he has a week-to-week shoulder injury. And as for the Bucks, I mean, their offense did not look good against the Eagles. But so far no offense outside of maybe the Vikings looked good against the Eagles this year. I think this game, Jameis Winston will be starting. I don't know who to pick, but since the Saints are at home, I'm going to go ahead and pick them to win. I also like the Saints defense, and like with the Ravens and Browns, don't expect a lot of scoring here. Following that, we have an NFC East rivalry with the Washington Commanders taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Commanders had more interceptions than points scored against the Bills. The Eagles, they easily took care of business against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you recall last year, the first loss the Eagles had was to the Commanders at home. An upset that I called it. I said it look at the 2002 NFL, look at my 2002 Week 10 NFL predictions. The receipts are there. But I do think for this go round, as much as I want to pick the Commanders, I am going to have to unfortunately go with the Philadelphia Eagles to win. I think the revenge factor of that game will play in their mind, and this might be the game A.J. Brown finally gets going. I'm going to roll with the Eagles to win. Following that, we have another battle of winless teams, but unlike that Bears and Broncos game, these two teams are in much different lower expectation like factors. Well, at least for the Carolina Panthers, who lost to the Seattle Seahawks, but they scored 27 points doing it. That's an improvement. But as for the Vikings, 0-3. I don't know what's going on with the Vikings. They're a team that used to be able to close out these close games, and now they're just not doing it. I do believe in this game. I am expected to see Andy Dalton to start again for this week, but because of this, I do think the Vikings will get their first win of the season this week over the Carolina Panthers. Not that the Panthers are a bad team. Well, they are a bad team. They're a young team. They're an inexperienced team. But I do believe the Vikings will get going against the Carolina Panthers. Following that, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, they got a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it was an underrated narrative that Houston owns Jacksonville and Jacksonville. I think they won like the last 5 in that city. It's something like that. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they got a win over the Las Vegas Raiders on the road, but let's be real, there was a bunch of terrible towels in that building, so that road game looked like a home game, and I think this game will be no different. I'm going to cut this short. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game. I trust that defense. TJ Watt, he's just too good at football. He's always going to make an impact. And I do think the running game will get going in this one. But if Houston wins, I won't be that surprised if Houston wins, though. Just want to keep that in mind. Next, we have 2 idiot coaches who should be fired into the sun and have no business running NFL franchises. That is the Las Vegas Raiders traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. And knowing the Raiders' luck, this will actually be a home game for them, knowing that they have a big California following. But the Chargers, despite Brandon Staley's incompetence, they somehow closed out the Vikings. If they would have lost that game, he would have been gone. Meanwhile, the Raiders, they have another idiot at coach named Josh McDaniels, who decided to take a field goal at the end of the game instead of going for it. And while the Raiders did get the ball back, it was with with little time left. The day these 2 coaches get fired will be a glorious day. But here's some news for the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is in concussion protocol, and because of that, I am going to take the Chargers to win this game. I do like the Chargers' chances, and if Jimmy Garoppolo, and especially if Jimmy G doesn't play, and the Chargers, they may start feeling good about themselves heading into their bye week. Next, we have a battle of 2 insufferable fan bases, with the New England Patriots traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The Cowboys. The Cowboys. Let's face it, the Arizona Cardinals own y'all. They lost 7 out of the last 8 to this franchise. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the Cardinals be having a bad team, but yet they still find a way to beat the Dallas Cowboys. But they looked like the 2021 Cowboys, the undisciplined, always get a penalty on every single play, and red zone inefficiency type Cowboys. Meanwhile, for the Patriots, yes, they beat the Jets, but they didn't look good doing it either. Granted, they had rainy conditions. This game is kind of a toss-up, more of a toss-up than you think. Because one thing the Patriots have is a good defense. And with that, I don't expect a lot of scoring in this one. They have a good defense, an opportunistic defense, and a defense that know how to force turnovers. The Cowboys, they're looking to forget that last week has happened. Well, they did have a bunch of offensive line injuries, and I kept thinking, did one man really impacted their defense? That being Trayvon Diggs, who's out for the year with a torn ACL. And you know what? I'm actually going to go with the upset here. I'm going to roll with the Patriots to win. And here's why. Belichick, during the offseason, y'all know Belichick signed Ezekiel Elliott. But after the preseason ended, Will Grier, he signed with their practice squad. And I have been reading reports that they're using them two to steal the hand signals of the Dallas Cowboys. And I also think that the Patriots will force a lot of turnovers in this, a few turnovers in this one. So I'm gonna go with upset of the week. I'm rolling with the Patriots to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Following that, we have speaking of the Cowboys, we have the team that they played beforehand with the Arizona Cardinals and the team that they'll play next week, the 49ers. 49ers beat the Giants pretty much in easy fashion, and the Cardinals, wow, beating the Cowboys for the first win of the season. Impressive. But yeah, I don't see a scenario where the Cardinals win. I know I doubted them last week, but against the 49ers, I think the 49ers are just more disciplined than the Dallas Cowboys. They won't be making a lot of mistakes. I'm going to roll with the 49ers to win. Then we have a mockery on Sunday night with the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to New York to take on the Jets. This was supposed to be Mahomes and Rodgers. The football gods are some reason against that. But the Jets, they're the worst offense in the league. They need to bench Zach Wilson. That roster is too talented for them to be 1-2. Meanwhile, for the Chiefs, they swiftly took care of things against the Bears, and it was a delicate victory over them. And with that, I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. The Chiefs should have no problems with this game. And as for the Jets, they know this story all too well. And finally, we're not done with New York on primetime yet again. This time with the New York Giants taking on the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. The Seahawks, they took care of the Carolina Panthers. And for the Giants, yeah, they lost to the 49ers. What else is new? This game, I think this one's going to be more closer than what people think. But I'm going to roll with the Seattle Seahawks to win. They are playing better football than the New York Giants. Giants are not good this year. Side note, why does team always getting primetime games? I feel like this is like their third this season, and they got one more in 2 weeks. But anyway, tell me what y'all think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.